Hello, I'm Dr. Deborah Finney, Speaker of the CDA House. I want to thank you for taking the time to view this recording. I think it'll give you valuable insight into the House schedule and the processes. If you have any questions about the information provided during this training, please be sure to jot them down as you watch the presentation, and then join me on November 1st at 5:30 for the virtual New Delegate Orientation question and answer session. Zoom information for this session, for the Q&A session, may be found on the House agenda, which is available on the House site. If you can't attend the Q&A session, you may email any questions to governance@cda.org. During this training, you will receive an overview of the meeting details, including the schedule and business of the House, the role of the House, including its purpose and House attendees' roles, and the resolution deliberations process, which is used for making decisions. Let's start with the meeting details. This year's House of Delegates will consist of both virtual and in-person events. A training for the reference committee hearings will be provided on November 8th from 5:30 to 7. The purpose of the training is to provide House attendees with an overview of parliamentary procedure, processes, and meeting software that will be used during the House proceedings. The reference committee hearings, in which testimony on resolutions will be heard, will take place on November 10th from 8:30 to noon. Both of these events will be held via Zoom and are open to all CDA members. The House of Delegates meeting will be held at the Sacramento Hyatt Regency, November 17th and 18th. Components will caucus prior to the meeting on Friday morning, beginning at 10 a.m. before the first session of the House. The first House session will include the following agenda items: elections. The House is charged with electing the officers of the association. The 2021 House of Delegates approved Resolution 1, Board Composition, honoring the elections that had already occurred, meaning that the incoming presidents have been elected through 2025, and this year's House will only need to elect the Secretary and Treasurer. An organizational update will be provided by CDA's Executive Director, Mr. Peter Dubois. He will provide the House with an overview of organizational highlights. CDA dues discussion. We have time slated for a CDA dues discussion. In preparation for this discussion, a pre-House informational Q&A session will be held on October 30th to provide House attendees with an overview of CDA dues history, multi-year financial forecasting, and current strategic investment priorities, at which time you will also have an opportunity to ask questions. You will also hear the presidential addresses. You will hear from our president, Dr. John Blake, and our incoming president, Dr. Carliza Marcos. Recognition and awards. The House will recognize association leaders and award recipients. The second House session begins on Saturday at 8 a.m., during which time the House will conduct deliberations and vote on the resolutions. Following the second House session, time permitting, a discussion will be held regarding the CDA future forecasting challenges and solutions. Leaders from the CDA Board of Directors and Future Forecasting Work Group will facilitate a discussion on current trends and pressures that are creating challenges for organized industry. The discussion is meant to spark conversation and build a shared understanding of the work and decisions in the year ahead. Delegates are strongly encouraged to participate in this discussion. Additionally, there will be a leadership party on Friday evening at 7:30. This is a ticketed event, and House attendees will receive a separate communication with event details and ticket information. The House agenda and supporting documentation, including a list of frequently asked questions, is available on the House site, which can be reached by going to cda.org/house or clicking on the link provided in the September 15th call to meeting notice. Please note that you must log in to access the House materials. If you have questions regarding the House schedule or materials, please contact the governance team by emailing governance@cda.org. Now let's review the role of the House. The purpose of the House is defined in the bylaws and can be summarized in 4 points: dental policy, dues, selection of leaders, and approval of organizational documents. Dental policy is what we are willing to stand behind as a profession. Policy in support of fluoride, in opposition to products that harm the public's oral health, relationships with colleagues of other professions, and so on. While the board of directors can approve discounts, run promotional campaigns, and explore ways to express the value of CDA, the House sets the membership dues. The House elects the officers of CDA, which include the president, secretary, treasurer, and speaker. The House also selects a nominee for the 13th district trustee to ADA, who will be elected by the ADA. These leaders are elected to represent all of us, to showcase and speak on our behalf. Additionally, the House approves organizational documents. Some of these you'll hardly ever see, such as the Articles of Incorporation and component charters, but others are more dynamic. The bylaws and the Code of Ethics, these documents change more frequently and identify how we present and organize ourselves. As a delegate, you are responsible for making decisions on behalf of all members: general dentists, specialists, students, retired members, solo practice owners, associates, rural, suburban, all 27,000 members, and who we are together as CDA. House participants will be seated according to their credentials, as shown. Delegations are seated together, meaning delegates and their executive directors will have assigned tables on the floor of the House. A seating chart will be displayed as you enter the House floor. Staff will also be available to help guide you. Okay, now let's move on to the deliberations process. The deliberations process is where the House accomplishes its work. It includes consideration and discussion of issues. For the deliberations process to be effective, delegates must let the House know if you are proposing an action or providing testimony. For example, if you wish to make a new motion, you would begin with, "I move to amend," or "I move to refer," etc. If you are providing testimony, you would first state whether you are speaking in favor of or against the motion that is being discussed. It can be confusing, so try to focus on what's at hand, whether it's a main motion, an amendment, a motion to refer or to postpone, etc. Be respectful of others. You and your colleagues may have differing opinions, but there's no need to make it personal. Be respectful of others' time. If you have something new to add to the discussion, please do so, but try not to repeat the same points that have already been made. The Speaker is the chair of the House. The chair's job is to facilitate discussion, keep order, and navigate the House on what's allowed by law and process. collectively governed by rules established for us and by us. CDA is governed by corporate law, our association bylaws, the general operating principles known as the GOPs, established policies, and the American Institute of Parliamentarian Standard Code of Parliamentary Procedure. During deliberations, all debate, points of order, and points of information should be addressed through the chair. When called on to speak, you would begin with Madam Speaker. The speaker leads with these basic principles in mind. The majority will determine the outcome, but not at the undue expense of the minority. Each individual has the right to raise questions or concerns. The process is equally applied. Every individual knows and plays by the same rules. Issues that need discussion and debate are heard as such, and debate is welcomed through the chair with respect to every individual expressing any variety of opinions on the issue. Information, when helpful to understanding the issue, can be provided, or the issue can be postponed or referred until such time as the information is available. The process is fair, and we operate in good faith, that we are all on the same team, working for what's best for our members and our association. We are all CDA. Motions help us to complete our work. A motion is an action to do something. There are three kinds of actions. First is a resolution. What are we trying to accomplish? The position or action we are taking. A resolution can be amended to add context or provide clarity. The second kind of motion is one where there is not clarity regarding the resolution in the moment, but the House wishes to do something with it. In this situation, the House can make a motion to refer, withdraw, divide, or postpone the resolution. Lastly, there's a motion outside of the resolution or issue at hand, procedural, which is to end debate, vote immediately, suspend rules, such as to allow someone without floor rights to speak. Not only do you need to listen as a delegate, you also may have information or opinions to share. Whether you intend to introduce an action, in other words, a motion, or provide testimony, you would enter the proper microphone queue on the House floor. When you're called on by the speaker, you will need to address the House using the following process. State your name, House position, and affiliation. State whether you are speaking for or against the motion, and provide a short, precise testimony. Please keep in mind and respect the time mentioned previously. For example, I would say, Mr. Speaker, Deborah Finney, Delegate, Sacramento District Dental Society. I am speaking in support of this motion. The priority microphone supersedes debate and can be used for a parliamentary inquiry if you want to ask the speaker how to correctly introduce a motion, for instance. Points of order, if you feel the speaker has made an error, you can state what and why you feel was not done properly. A motion to appeal the decision of the chair if the speaker has made a ruling that you disagree with. When someone approaches the priority microphone, the speaker will wait for the person currently giving testimony to finish and then will call on the priority microphone. The same process applies. State your name, House position, and affiliation. Then you may ask your question. We see quite a few procedural mistakes during the House, but don't worry. Everyone has the right to speak, and as chair, I will help guide the process. A few things to try to avoid. A second to a motion is to give an indication that at least one other delegate believes it is a good idea. However, at CDA, everyone's input is valued, so we don't need to second motions. You may hear someone say that they want to offer a friendly amendment. essentially indicating that the amendment is not substantive and asking the author and House to accept it without a vote. Amendments are not personal. They are not friendly or unfriendly. To avoid personalizing debate, always address the chair. Don't speak back to the person who has made the motion. Motions have an order of importance, which is called precedence. This is a concept that seems overwhelming, but it boils down to these two things. We consider one motion at a time. We don't jump around or consider multiple motions or amendments. We address the thing that is in the way of proceeding first. We need to decide if we're ending debate before we can continue debate or vote. Precedence is a fancy way of saying that we'll be logical in addressing the issues. Any resolutions to be considered by the House will be considered one at a time in numerical order. Here is an example of a resolution. The delegate would say, "I move resolution 4," and read the resolving statement, then wait for the speaker to acknowledge and ask the delegate to speak in support of their resolution. When there is a motion, a resolution, in other words, being considered, there are 5 common actions that can be taken with 3 different outcomes. Decide on it by adopting it or defeating it. Amend it, which we will discuss in more detail shortly, or hold off on a decision, but you either have to postpone, setting a specific time in which it will be discussed again, or refer it to another group to look into further. When a resolution is referred, the motion and any supporting documentation or context related to the motion is forwarded to the identified group for consideration. This is most often done when the issue has just enough nuance or controversy that it's not possible to make a decision, but there is enough interest in doing something so the motion isn't defeated outright. There are 4 types of amendments. Amendment by insertion, which means adding additional language to the existing resolution. Amendment by strikeout, which means language is removed from the existing resolution. Or amendment by insertion and strikeout, which means there's a combination of language being added and removed. Amendment by substitution, which refers to a major change where a large amount of text is exchanged, is not common. I'll take a few minutes to walk through some motions. This is an original main motion. Under the recommendation line, the action item, this is what you would see. Resolved that an additional goal be added, etc. Taking this resolution, we'll move on to a proposed amendment. The delegate would say, "I move to amend this resolution by deleting dental professionals and the public of professionalism and inserting everyone, everywhere of professional success." Staff will update the text, making it visible to the House. The House would then discuss only the pros and cons of the amendment, the words that are in red and blue. Here we have a request for an additional amendment, a secondary amendment, also called an amendment to the amendment. This is an area where many delegates have expressed confusion and frustration. So I'm asking the House to be selective about when a secondary amendment is used. Remember that we can change the language again after the initial amendment is adopted. I may ask any individual requesting a secondary amendment to hold it until the primary amendment has been voted on. Let's decide whether something has enough merit to pursue first, and then perfect what it says second. Should the individual want to move it in the moment, the resolution will be updated to reflect the secondary amendment, and the House will be allowed to speak and vote on the secondary amendment. Again, it will be only the highlighted language. Assuming that the secondary motion is held or voted down, we would return to the primary amendment. In this example, the House didn't want to limit this to members, but everyone, everywhere. Now we're back to talking about the red and blue. Now the vote on the primary amendment is taken, and it does not pass. We're back to the first resolution, the original motion. Now I would like to address actions that the House may take that are not about the idea. A motion to refer is common. It transfers a motion and the proposed amendments to discussion to a group for further evaluation and consideration. You may ask which group it gets to refer to. While the House can specify the group, it's not necessary. It will get referred to the appropriate CDA entity. A motion to postpone definitely. If you would like to address something in a specific order, you could make a motion to postpone resolution X until after the House has addressed resolution Y or the report on S. It must be the same meeting, not a future meeting, and we do not postpone indefinitely. Motions about procedure do not relate directly to main motions. There are 4 types of procedural motions: a parliamentary inquiry, points of order, appeal the decision of the chair, and limit debate. One type of priority microphone issue is a parliamentary inquiry. These are questions that are important to understand in order to make a decision. There are also points of order. These are things that you want to raise because there is an uncertainty about what is happening. Next is challenging a decision of the chair, or as the House refers to it, the speaker. If you believe the chair has made a mistake, you have the opportunity of challenging, which requires a vote of the House. A yes vote means the delegates agree with the speaker and no change will be made. A no vote means that the delegates agree with the person who made the challenge and the decision will be overruled, changed. Motions to limit debate occur when we are organizing our time. You can limit either how much time someone has each time at the microphone, or how much time we're going to take before we move to another item. The House appreciates succinct testimony. If you have multiple points, you will want to prioritize and come to the microphone several times. This is to ensure that everyone has a chance to speak. When a motion to end debate, or as some refer to it, call the question, is made and no one else is at the microphone, I will say, seeing no one remaining at the microphone and with no objection, the motion is approved. We will now vote on the resolution and/or amendment you see on the screen before you. We will be using 2 types of voting: general consent, which means that the speaker will indicate that the item will be approved unless an objection is raised, and electronic voting, which means that when you are queued, you will use a device to enter your vote. On the parliamentary guide, which is on the House website, we have a full list of motions, which includes if they can interrupt, vote count required, etc. That concludes our presentation, but I would be happy to answer any questions during the new delegate Q&A session again on November 1st. Thank you again for viewing this presentation. I hope you found the information beneficial.